The purpose of the mastermind is to learn leadership, build teams and create multiple sources of income together.
We are here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Each member is committed to their own success as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour each week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings, like dogs wanting to go out. Sorry, Martin.
we are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing or judging.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
We are honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
Sorry, where are we?
Number 10.
I'm still laughing. We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, but we also think it's important to have fun during meetings.
We are real and authentic. Even though my mum's not here, I won't say it. This is a no BS zone.
We allow others to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces, one mind, one soul, one love.
Noble Goldman International is a conscious, aware and engaged global community of abundance and freedom creators.
Our mission is to create 1 million millionaires who are free from the time for money paradigm. We focus on creating multiple streams of income through masterminding, team building and the effective utilisation of the internet-based platforms.
The mastermind becomes an opportunity for self-mastery, where the self-transcendent shift from the me to the we to the us occurs. As congruence and engagement increases, the world's consciousness is then raised one meaningful and inspired relationship at a time.
Beautiful. Thanks for setting the foundation. And Carly, again, getting that last one. Go on, Tony. Yeah.
Something just occurred to me that we're all reading this thing out every meeting. What if you get somebody on there that's dyslexic or has a literacy issue?
That's actually really interesting you say that, because I do think there's actually someone on the free call who may be dyslexic, because that person always struggles to read through it. So I think we'd have to ask that question.
It just occurred to me, that's all. I just thought that.
Because we don't want to make somebody feel like they're, I mean, the other thing, if you ask somebody, is anybody dyslexic, and they may not want to say I'm dyslexic because they're embarrassed about it. But part of, I mean, the other side of it is what we're actually about is empowering people to take ownership of the challenges and what they've got going on in their life, to step through that and go, hey, this is my challenge, but you know what, I'm owning that, and that's cool. So I think if we're setting that kind of foundation, people will feel that they'll get to the point and go, these people aren't going to judge me or speak ill of me or laugh at me. You know, we only laugh at Ricky, that's all. So, go on, sorry, Lisa.
You might not be aware of it until that moment when they have to read something out. That's why it just occurred to me that maybe we should have that as one of our, well, I suppose we know most of the people before we invite them on. But I had a client that had literacy issues like that, and so that's what made me think of it.
And I think as long as when we set up, we just check in, are you all okay to do this? You know, if it's not compulsory, if you don't want to do it, just let me know, and then you don't count them in on that thing. You know, it doesn't have to single them out.
No.
Just as if you're not comfortable doing this, just let me know.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Sorry to disrupt your flow there, Martin.
Not at all, Tony. Not at all. You know, I said at the beginning of the call, hopefully you stay with us, and because we want to have your pills of wisdom. Part of me, when you asked that question, thought, I wish he was asleep now on the bloody couch. Only joking. So Yeah,
Even that Liverpool fan on the call
Oh,
after all.
shut up, you! I'll bloody mute you if you carry on, and if you keep going, I'll remove you. So so it's just me and the ladies again. That's the way I like it. So our topic this week that we were covering was the universal law of receiving. Show of hands, who's done the growth work?
Not this time. I've done it before, but not now. I couldn't remember which one it was.
So
when you say the growth work, you mean?
Oh, burpees.
Not me.
About that.
You
That'll be
mean
Tony.
the actual listening to the video of Bob Proctor?
Yeah, so I don't call it homework, I call it growth work.
Okay.
So it can either be the listening to Bob Proctor. Lisa kindly put in Raymond Hollywell's PDF version of the book. So what I've actually been doing is, I'm a visual learner, and I love audio. Well, I love videos and I love audios. But I've challenged myself with reading the chapter of each one as well, and I'm actually getting so much more from it. And some of you are aware I'm really embracing and embodying the universal laws anyway from that side. So it's been really interesting with what I've picked up from the PDF book that Lisa posted, and then how Bob's interpreting a lot of it as well. So there's value in both, and you're going to find what resonates with you. Like Melanie does not resonate at all with Bob Proctor. She cannot stand listening to Bob Proctor. So to make sure Melanie can stay engaged with us, the PDF's a great way. And there's other ways to find out. So what we'll do, Lisa, you clearly already have an abundance of information to share with us around that, but also whatever you pick up with. So Diane, keeping to the numbers, would you like to share what you received from that chapter and how maybe you're now seeing you can implement it into your life?
Yeah, I've only really listened to the audio, and I did that at work through my headphones while I was working. So, and I wrote lots of notes, which I have not had time to go and find where I put them. But basically, I think what I took away from that was my time. When I look back over my life, I've had moments where I've really needed things to happen. You know, one was like when I had my kids, my youngest, I had both my kids, but my mum was looking after him, and she had an autistic boy that we were fostering at the time, and she really could not take the kids, my girls, on with dealing with him. And I was desperate because I didn't want to put him into daycare, so I really needed a home business to do. And I had no idea where that was going to come from. So I just put it out there and says, you know, and I didn't map anything around it. I was actually coming from I felt at the time, a place of desperation, that I needed to be home with my girls because I wanted them to be, you know, looked after by family. And I had no idea where this job was going to come from. But I'd met a girl probably 6 months before, and she had this home business doing molds of babies' hands and feet, and she loved this job. Never imagined in the wildest dreams that she was ever going to give it up. And then I put that out there. But if I look back now, I've always believed everything I've done has come from a place of being desperate, needing it to happen like right now. But in doing that, I also let go. I just knew that it was going to come to me somehow. And so I did, I let go. And within probably 2 weeks of me putting it out there that that's what I needed, she comes and tells me that she's going to sell her business. Do I know anyone who wants it? And I hadn't even told her that I was even thinking about, you know, needing a home business. And, you know, within a month after that, I've bought this damn business, and I didn't know where the money was going to come from. And I still don't know where the money came from, but I did it. I'd made no money out of it, but I loved it. I loved being able to give something back to someone with those molds. I even took on the hard task of because not many would, of actually going and doing deceased babies so that those families had something of their children as well. And like I say, I was probably There's only 2 of us in Perth that would do it, and it drained me every time I went and did it. But I did it with a smile on my face, and I did it knowing that I was going to be giving something back to someone. But what I received when they came and picked up those frames was so much deeper, just knowing that I could touch their heart in that particular way. So that's sort of just one example of where I'd always, from listening to what Bob was saying, you know, in the fact that you've got to ask, release, relax, and let it flow and let it come. Probably next time I'd put a bit more picture around that, like I'd like to make some money out of it. Would have been nice. But it served its purpose. My purpose was to be home with my children and to be able to pick them up from school. So I got that from that. But not understanding the law of attraction at that time, you know, I probably could have made it so much more if I'd put the money context around it.
Yeah, wow, what a powerful share. Thank you so much, Diane. And welcome Tina as well. Tina, just so you are aware of what we're talking about, because you will go after me. In fact, I might let you go before me, depends if you've done your growth work. We're covering the universal law of receiving. That was part of the Gold Stars growth work we've been doing. So Diane's just started with what she received from the video from Bob Proctor, and brought it into part of her life. So thank you. Tony.
Yes. So what I got out of it, well, I always used to call it the law of sowing and reaping. What you give, you'll receive, but not necessarily in the way that you expected. And so what it reminded me of was a story when I used to run my backpackers hostel, had a hostel in Perth for 14 years. And there was one particular day where I got a phone call from 2 young American guys who were desperate. I don't know if I've told this story. I don't know if probably a few of you haven't heard it. These 2 guys had moved from Kalgoorlie back to Perth because they'd been promised work at one of the hostels. And so they'd used the last of their money to get from Kalgoorlie back to Perth. And then when they got there, the guy who'd promised them this work was a bit of a so-and-so. And he went back on his word and he said, no, there's no job here for you. And, you know, if you can't pay for tonight, you're out. So they rang me in desperation because they literally had, you know, hardly any money left at all. And the guy on the phone said to me, look, I'm really desperate. Is there anything you can do to help me out? Because I don't know how we're going to get through. Because being American, they couldn't get working visas, so they weren't allowed to work legally in Western Australia. So I said, look, I'm not going to make any promises till I've met you, but I'll come and pick you up and then we'll have a chat. So I drove the bus down the road, went and picked him up, brought him back, got him a cuppa and listened to the whole story. And then I said, look, I'll tell you what, this young lad, Dave, he said, I'm a firefighter back home. He said, you know, I'm in charge of a team of guys and we go out and fight bushfires, you know, forest fires. And he said, I'm not a bum. I'll do, if you help me out, I'll do anything to pay you back. I'll go and get a couple of jobs. And his mate Dave sat there, sorry, that was Dave, and his mate Josh sat there quietly and just sort of went along with whatever Dave said. So I said, okay, I'll help you out. Don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about paying any rent money until you get yourselves on your feet. And as I recall, we even took him out and got him drunk that night down at the local nightclub. And true to his word, Dave went and got about 3 different jobs, all cash jobs because he wasn't allowed to work legally, and caught up the money that, you know, I let him run up a bit of a bill and he paid it all off. And then a few weeks later, Josh was behind with his rent. So Dave loaned him the money to come and pay us. And instead he did a runner. So I could have had my belief shaken a bit by the fact that this one young lad that I'd gone out my way to help out just did a runner owing about $120, I think it was, something like that, a week's rent. And Dave was so embarrassed, he came to me and he said, look, he's my mate back home. He said, I'm going to kick his ass when I see him back in the States. He said, I'm so embarrassed. But he said, look, I'll make it up to you. And true to his word, he stayed with us for about 6 months, but for probably about the next 6 months after that, people kept turning up saying, well, we met this American guy called Dave and he told us we had to come and stay at your place. So the amount of extra bookings that I got from that story, from Dave going everywhere he could, spreading the word and going, you've got to go and stay there. I don't know what the figure was. It would have way outweighed what I'd lost from Josh not paying his bill many times over. But the thing was, I had no idea that that's how it would all pan out. I was just trying to help somebody out that was in a dire situation. So it was a perfect example of giving and receiving, perhaps not in the way that it was expected, but it comes back to you. So if you help people, you do the right thing, it comes back.
I love that.
Yeah, that was powerful. Great share there, Tony. Carly's going to go after Tina. So would that be Veronika next then? Yeah, cool.
I've got a couple of examples. I guess what really struck me is more about creating space so that you can receive, which is what I'm doing at the moment, having downsized my house, is I'm giving things away to people to create space. But in the meantime, as I'm giving things to people, they're telling me stories about what they're doing with what I'm giving to them. And it's just really quite nice. I didn't give it away. I sold a whiteboard that was worth about $300 or $40. And the guy came and picked it up. And in the meantime, the wife is messaging me saying, I can't wait to get this whiteboard because my daughters are drawing all over the walls. And she sent me pictures of and I said, well, they're quite artistic, aren't they? And with the whiteboard, I also had lots of different coloured markers. So then she sent me pictures of them drawing on the whiteboard. So that was really nice. But I was actually thinking about my mentor in coaching, and the story that he was telling us is he's teaching us how to coach. He did a lot of healing with us all, but this is actually teaching us how to coach and how to actually run a coaching business. And he said what not to do, but what he does a lot, or has done a lot, is people will show up to courses and they can't pay. And he says, well, you just need to give me something of value. And he will find something and they will think of something that they can provide to him of value, even if they can't pay for it. Some of it will pay for it later. But he told a story about one lady who was a Maori lady who had no money. And what she did was she did a ceremony at the end of the course and had him in tears, and the whole crowd was just like, just totally blown out by what they just received, which wasn't anything to do with money, but it was pretty powerful. So, yes, stories of receiving. That's all I got.
That was plenty. That was beautiful, Veronika. Thank you. Lisa.
Is it me next, is it? Okay. Yeah, there's a couple of things. One is that we have to give unexpectedly or without expectation before we can receive. And I think, and let me just find it here. In the book, he says, after you form a clear outline of your desire, then release your thought Godward. Let it go, like throwing a ball out with no string or rubber attached to bring it back to you. And I thought that was really quite powerful, because often when we give, there is an expectation of something coming back. That's the way we've been trained, is it? We don't give it, we transact. So I think it's important to remember that it's about giving without expectation. And then something else it said in there was that, hang on, let me read it. It's about us being at rock bottom almost. Man's extremity is God's opportunity, for it is true, for when man reaches his limit, he hopelessly stops his effort. When he relaxes from his strain, the law has a chance to reply to his desire and things begin to change for him. So it's about letting go, but often we have to reach breaking point before we're willing to let go and surrender. And surrender has got a bad name in our society. It's like giving up, when in actual fact, it is just about total faith and trust. So when we're able to surrender, we're able to receive But until we're able to surrender, it's like we're clutching. And I've always said for years that you can't catch what's coming in if you're holding on to what you've got. You've got to be able to let go and know that something bigger and better is coming in. There was just one other thing that caught my eye. Let me just, once we expressed our needs through prayer or otherwise, some believe that is all we must do. And this is where the secret came in. Oh, you just think about it, just think about it, just think about it. Bring it in here, just think about it. On the contrary, we are working with a law that is definite and active. And this is only the beginning of our work. The principle of life upon which this law is based is clearly written. It reads, give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. So giving always precedes, and whether you're giving your thought, your word, or your service. So it's really about, as Tony and Dan have said, what comes back is very different often than what is given out. And I think sometimes we don't acknowledge that this has come back to us. We just acknowledge it as a gift, when if we're able to look back, we go, wow, okay, that is coming back for that, because it's not always at the same time. You know, the descriptions we've talked about, like Tony, you just said yours went over a period of time. Diane, yours was, you know, in a shorter period. So we can make those connections, but sometimes the pay it back can be years later, and we don't always make that connection. So I think it's about being open, making sure that we're giving without expectation, and being open to receive whatever comes back to us in whatever form it comes back to us in.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you, Lisa. I've already got my 3 big takeaways already. I'm now into my bonus section. This has been fantastic. The shares that have been coming through. What I'll do for, I've actually been really structured with this. I'm truly embodying and just, I'm loving the universal laws. And a lot of this is thanks to Lisa kindly sharing as well with the PDFs that are in the group for us all to access, as well as Bob's stuff. So I'm going to read one of the overviews, shall we say, of the law of receiving. The law of receiving works hand in hand. And the reason also why I do this is because Tina and Carly, who especially Tina, I'll get Tina to share a little bit about herself, because this is her first time on a Gold Star call, I believe. Is that right? Yep. So I'll get Tina to share a little bit about herself shortly. But just to help you ladies in particular get an overview of this. So the law of receiving works hand in hand with giving. We must give in order to receive. However, we need to let go and not be attached to what we want to receive too obsessively. We need to trust the universe will somehow give us what we want, and all we need to do is to be ready to receive it. How much we receive will be limited by how much we allow it. So that's the overview. So I have an abundance of notes on this law. So one of them that I highlighted, which has so much power to me, based on what the conversations I've had with certainly this year in particular, and what shifted for me. So nature does not support a parasite or a loafer, but she gives her energy to the ones who are struggling forward. She lets the parasite and the loafer see that she will help if they put forth the effort to help themselves. All were happier because their efforts were being directed into right channels. Now it goes on to say, a practical interpretation of the law is, when you see someone making an effort to help himself, that is the time to assist him, but do not give of your substance to the one who will not help himself, or at least try to help himself. Now, a lot of this stuff, because it's in an old text, they refer to men mostly. So obviously this is for all of us. Now, one of the events that I went to this year in January, before COVID hit, was a thing called Mastermind and Money. And I thought I was going to this event to learn about strategies on money. And it was all to do with self-worth. And they were saying that the reason why your bank account is showing up the way it is because of your own self-worth. And it was a really empowering event. But what it was actually doing was it was selling into then the courses around shifting you from the things that are limiting your own potential based on your own self-worth, your own self-judgment. And one of the things that they said, they did actually do about half of the 2 days, they did about half of a day on strategies and giving you what they call the wealth principles, which is actually activating into the universal laws. And they said, you never, ever give your money paying down. You only ever give your money where it's going to be paid up. Therefore, you don't give it to somebody who's begging for money, who's going to go and buy cigarettes or alcohol or anything like that. You give it to somebody who's going to use it productively to help them move forward, or it's going to be used productively to help somebody else benefit or something be created. And I heard that and I was like, wow, that's so powerful, because I've given money countless times and have gone, they need it more than me. But if it's being paid down, it's not being respected and it's not helping them move forward. So with this, in May this year, when I asked myself that question, who am I? I'm not this water guy. Who is Martin Ball? What is he? He's far more than what he's been, the way he's been choosing to show up. And I realized that a lot of what I had chosen to do over the years, I had unconsciously, because of choosing to come from a place of what I would call heart-centered, I was giving so much, but I was giving it to downward. I don't mean that these people were any less than me, but these people were not willing to do the work to help themselves move forward. So what I actually put out there, then I literally drew an imaginary line, and I said, no more is my time, my energy, my effort, my value going to be shared with people who aren't basically saying to me how they want it to be, how they're going to utilize it. And that's why when, like for instance, when people come into Noble Goldman, I get them to answer 5 questions before they get on that call with me, and I give them the opportunity. And I want to know where they're at, where they're going, what their goals are. And if you haven't taken the time to access that and respect that I'm going to give you 30 minutes of my time, which is the most valuable commodity I have, and I'm giving you my knowledge, my value, my energy. If they're not willing to respect that and show up to the call and say, these are my goals, or do you know what, I've gone through your questions and I don't know how to do this, I need help. Then my side, I'm going, okay, how do I feel about this? Because there's also the angle of giving to self. And that's where I think a lot of us, and I've given so much externally, and now I'm giving to self, and therefore I'm also going to receive. So that's been one of the big things that highlighted and resonated with me in that law. Some people will be triggered by that. But I know that for me to go to where I want to go and the impact that I want to make and to live the life that I'm here to live, I have to set those level of boundaries for myself and externally of myself. So that's my share. Tina. We've all been ready for waiting and excited for this, Tina. So Tina has joined as a Gold Star. We actually connected via one of the NG groups. I think it may have been Think and Grow Rich, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, it's funny, I was talking to Mark about this last night, and night here in Finland. But anyway, he was, well, I was asking a lot of questions about how this process goes. Like, I'm a Gold Star now, and how I can get the prospects. And he was referring to the Think and Grow Rich group as a kiddie pool. You can go rehearse there. So, but anyway. I said to him, like, I really loved Think and Grow Rich book, and somehow it made a huge effect on me, and I read it like this summer, and after that I was just because, well, I have this 9-to-5 job, which I like very much. Sorry, this is going to be a long story. Anyway, so but I've been very attracted to this laptop life and making it online, and also I got totally geeked out about social media marketing and funnels, and kind of I've been looking for that option, and I one day I was just going through the Facebook, like which group I could join, and after reading the Think and Grow Rich, I thought that I really need a mastermind. Like I would really need that. I want to meet people with whom I can share my thoughts, that would have the same kind of visions that I have, and who I could support, and they could support me in this journey to because I have a lot of things I need to do with my thoughts, and because I have this employee mindset still. Anyway, so I was lucky enough to find a group, and I told Mark that I think it's a perfect group. Like I wouldn't look down on it and saying it was just a kiddie pool, because I think there might be a lot of people like me, just like me, who would just want to have a special group, a smaller group, not this 30,000 people where everybody's yelling something. So anyway, I think that's an excellent group, and that's why I'm here, and I already received here. And well, there's many different sides to receiving. Like you could look it from the aspect I've been watching the law of attraction, like 3 different Bob Proctor videos about it in a week's time, and you could look at it from that perspective, and just think that whenever you are ready to find this new level for yourself, and you're ready to make the commitment, and just like give yourself to the thought of this new life and new projection of yourself and your surroundings, then you have to be willing to also receive what you get. And in this law of attraction video, Bob Proctor was also telling about this woman who wanted more money, and after that she saw a nickel on the sidewalk, and just kneel down to get it, and then she had more money. Like it's also how you vision yourself, and what you are ready to receive. How about that? Would that be a story?
Oh, absolutely. There's no expectation, Tina, and thank you for sharing. And it's absolutely fantastic, especially the way, like Lisa said there, I think it was, what a great acknowledgement of the power of the kiddie pool, because it really is. They are great ways to bring us together, and I often say this in regards to what each of us are bringing and creating. Mark created something from nothing, and then we've all come in over the last 2.5 years, and we've been able to share with him and say, this is what I see can evolve from this, and it keeps evolving into something else. Now, him choosing to do that has helped us all come together, because if he hadn't, I probably wouldn't have created this facilitation at this mastermind, which we all would have just been out doing our own thing. I mean, some of us would be fast asleep now, some of us would be having our breakfast, whatever it would be. And I think it's absolutely beautiful that individually we've all come together with bringing something. And what you said there, Tina, you were looking for a group. You found that group, there's 30,000 fishes swimming drastically, and all of a sudden you're amongst 6, 7 beautiful dolphins. It's absolutely fantastic. So
Yeah,
you can tell I've been watching Our Planet, can't you?
Yeah.
So.
I just wanted to sort of emphasize that, Martin, because I've connected with a few people using the mastermind groups, but it hasn't really, it's not my preferred method of engaging people to be on my round table. And I hadn't seen it from that perspective, Tina. So that's been a really powerful one for me, that people in that group really do want. I came from the perspective, oh, they're going to feel like we're pitching them, or they're going to feel like, well, hang on, I joined this group and now you're telling me to join this group, and all that sort of stuff. So to hear it from your perspective, Tina, has been really, there's a real shift has just gone on here. That's okay. Yes, I have a beautiful warm market that I'm looking at who I want to be in my team, but not to dismiss that side, because obviously there's more value in it than I saw from Tina's perspective. So thank you,
Lisa,
thank you for that, Tina.
It was absolutely fantastic. May I ask you then a question?
You may. Whether I answer or not is another thing, but you may ask me a question.
I'll pull those gloves back out. So would you say then that there could be a self-worth issue in there?
Possibly. I hadn't really seen it. I hadn't paid too much attention, partly because it's time consuming to go in there and go through and, do the fishing. And partly because I do have a big database of an already warm to hot market, if you want to use that terminology. So I hadn't really thought about it too much. I think for me, it was a little bit heavy going. And I think maybe not a sense of self-worth, but how much time am I going to have to put in to build the relationship in this when I already have relationships established?
Yeah.
That I would rather put that time and effort into.
Yeah. I think I
have got somebody from that group. I have got from the Outwitting the Devil group.
I could have asked the question
yes,
better in regards to when you mentioned about messaging somebody and then getting them to go from that group to another group.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing that, when I'm actually communicating that, I'm coming from a place of, you need this. You don't know you need it yet, but I'm the one that's so blessed to be able to give that to you and let you come in. I'm actually I'm opening the door to my home here and letting you in.
Yeah.
That's the kind of confidence I have when I'm communicating. When we first communicated with Tina, when I went to Tina's Facebook profile, I was attracted to what Tina was posting and was sharing, and I knew there that what she was doing would be of value to all the community members. Because from memory, I think I messaged Tina and I said, I see you're into social media marketing and helping people in that area. I know that there's people in this community that need what you're offering, and your passion is oozing with it. So when we had that conversation, that half an hour call, which went way over half an hour from memory, Tina, and most calls with me do.
It is a surprise.
It was a 50-minute call.
we got on really well. I found out more, and then Tina chose to upgrade to Gold Star. But I also, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Tina, I also knew the value of what we have here. And I believed 100% that it was going to be of value to Tina, but also that she was going to be of value to all the members in Noble Golden.
Yeah. And I have recently enrolled a guy doing exactly that. I think for me, Martin, it was just because I have such a big database, it was just like, that's much harder for me to do. Yeah. It takes much more time and effort, whereas I've got this database. So I think if I didn't have my database, and of course a lot of people don't, then I perhaps would have seen it differently. But I hadn't really, I guess because I hadn't needed to look at it as a resource. I think I'd sort of just put it over to one side rather than making that my focus. But to hear Tina's perspective has been really powerful. Thank you, Tina.
Tony,
May I share?
Oh yeah, Tina.
I was just thinking, I have this, I like to travel a lot. And I used to make all these plans for my travel. Whenever I was going something where I would make these plans and I would already picture how it would all be. Like how much I would enjoy it and what I would do and that kind of stuff. And then I just, I realized that many times those dreams, they didn't quite met with the what's going to happen. And after that, I just started making trips without so much planning. Like I could book a trip, like some museum trip or something like that, but I wouldn't plan too much, because you can get something that you never dreamed if you don't put so many kind of like lines, or how would you say it, like if you wouldn't put yourself
Barriers.
in too many too little box or something that yeah. So that I just kind of I think that it's also a possibility to get something you don't expect, something better than you even imagined. And of course I think well, I think Martin has quite a forward-going approach, like when fishing, when he was fishing me, like he just said that go to this group. It was CTA, call to action, and he didn't give me like any other choices. I either take it or I'm not going to take it, and I think that's also like Mark said, it's all filtering. Like you filter people, and they if they make the initiative to that they are interested and they're going to do the action you gave them, call to action, and they're going to take it, then it means something already. I think it's I think the kiddie pool is a perfect place to do the filtering also.
Yeah. And it's not that I disrespect anybody in the way that I do it. And it's certainly something that, to be fair, I've only been doing it that way over maybe the last month. And I haven't spent that much time in going through the groups anymore, because I only did it from a bit of a testing thing. Because like, I'm not, certainly not to your level, Lisa, but I've got incredible people around me who are already well qualified to be into Noble Goldman in the value they'll bring. But I haven't gone really to my warm market properly yet, as we would call it. So I like to test different things. But so that approach was actually a realization to me of my own growth and own power, and my own certainty. And by the likes of Tina, I've had people who just haven't responded, who've seen it, and I've probably terrified them. But you know what? That's fine, because to me, I don't connect with people. I do not connect with people like this. I don't connect with people by sending them a message. I connect with people, getting them on a Zoom call or physically here. And then I can hear them and they can hear me, and we can feel each other's energy. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking, let's get on this call as fast as possible, because then we can find out whether we align. And I'm also still in that screening process. If I don't believe the person is going to be of value to Noble Goldman, or Noble Goldman's not going to be of value to them, then I'm not going to offer them that. I'm not going to push it any further. Because remember, also, my role is to support that person. So I need to make sure that that person is actually qualifying themselves to say, hey, Martin, I'm here and I want to do this and I want to achieve this. And that's why my last question is, how can I best serve you? Like, that's important to me to know that. Tony, I know you wanted to ask. Oh, sorry, Lisa. Is Tony still awake?
I'm here. I just wondered, Lisa, you wanted to respond to what you said. So.
Well, he's fallen asleep with his eyes open.
I just very quickly wanted to tell you a very quick story. I admitted somebody to the Outwitting the Devil group the other day, and I looked at the picture and I looked at the thing, and she's set up a gecko rescue center, and I looked at it, and there was a picture of a young girl on the profile, and I looked at it and I thought, well, sometimes people look younger than they are, and sometimes people don't put their profile, they'll put their granddaughter or, you know, the child or something. So I thought, no, I liked the feel of it. Look, turns out she's 10 years old, and she's in a lot of the groups. You might have seen her, Victoria Gecko Rescue, her name is. And then all of a sudden, there was another guy that I noticed. He actually responded to quite a bit of her stuff. Anyway, I eventually thought, that must be her dad. And he had posts, and I checked him out, and he had posts about homeschooling and all the rest of it, and that's something I'm interested in. So I just touched base with him. He wasn't in anybody's candidate manager, so I put him in mine and just connected and said, look, I think I've just connected the dots. Are you Victoria's dad? And he came back and said, I'm her stepdad. And yes, I'm homeschooling her. So we jumped on and we had a call, and he signed up straight away. So I do use it, and I certainly came from that perspective, but it was just interesting. Like Victoria, she responded. We had a bit of a conversation. Then when I sent her the link, that was the end of it. I didn't hear any more. So I just let that go. But yeah, talking to her dad and seeing what he has to offer and what, you know, how he's going to benefit NG and what he can get from it was absolutely what you're saying, Martin. That's where I came from. But it was just funny that this was completely random. He wasn't even somebody that I'd gone through my system and put in. It was only because I was trying to work out what was going on when I realized that Victoria was only 10 years old. How it all worked. So yeah, it all works perfectly, doesn't it?
You're muted.
I said absolutely. Go on, Tony. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to be attracting 10-year-olds into the group, do we? I don't think.
And just before you get too deep, sorry, remember Carly hasn't shared about receiving yet, so we'll let Carly go.
And this girl is amazing. Her homeschooling is based on Bob Proctor's work. She's dynamite, absolute dynamite. Check her out, Victoria Gecko Rescue.
Okay, well, I'd just like to echo what you said and thank Tina for that, because it has made me think about it a little bit differently too. I was actually going to come back with two things that sound awfully like excuses, but they're not really. So one was the generation card, which is to say that, you know, I've been used to for years. As I said, I ran a backpackers. I've met thousands of people from all over the world. So for me, it's about meeting people face to face. That would be my preferred option. And like Lisa, I've got quite a big database of people here in Perth that I haven't spoken to about this yet. And so that's probably just instinctively is the direction that I would go, because that's where I'm comfortable doing that. And I think so therefore the generation thing I was just going to mention is that probably younger people like yourself are probably a bit more used to interacting through the internet and through Zoom and so on, and chatting to random people. It's not something that I've sort of had a history of doing. So it's a new area for me. So I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. It's just that I've gravitated towards the area that I'm more comfortable with first. And so I'm not that much of an old fossil, honestly. And the second thing was actually the time factor. So again, could sound like an excuse, but I've just found that, especially doing this 90-day challenge, I'm just so under the pump trying to keep up. I've got to get my meditation, my study. I've got to get this done. I've got to post things on Facebook, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I haven't got time to go and be interacting on other website pages as well at the moment. And I'm not saying I won't. I obviously will get to that. But yeah, Jesus, there's so much going on, you know. So, and I have been meditating. Thank you. At least giving it my best shot anyway. So yeah, so there's a couple of things there, I think, but you have made me think about the fact that I had sort of looked at it as with almost a bit of disdain, as like it was, you know, cyber stalking people and phishing, and it was something I would leave for later on when I ran out of prospects, once I'd burnt all my friends, you know. They've all gone, we're not joining that cult, go away, and all that stuff, you know. So then I would look at the cold market, so to speak, and go and try and warm some people up. But anyway, you made me think about it slightly differently, so thank you for that. Kelly.
Okay, what are we talking about again? Because everyone's we've had so many areas that are different to full receiving.
That's literally it. Every single thing that's happened in the past 50 minutes has been all around receiving in every single way. It's been beautiful.
What do you want to talk about, Callie?
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
I want to actually talk about receiving, because I'm all about embodying my entire life force, my chi energy, because I'm in a feminine body, I'm embodying my feminine presence. Like I've still got yang going on, but I'm yin yang, but I've got a womb, I'm embodying my entire feminine connection. So I did just a 2-hour session with a group of older women. I don't want to say an age, but they were a good 20 years older than me. And one of them had prayed for years and years, for at least 5 or more years, for her son to finally contact her. And he lived in Germany. She lived local to me. And one of the other ladies had been praying for 17 years. And I'm not going to read the comments, about 17 years. And she had the same effect. So when they were in my presence, they both reconnected with their son after praying for all of those years. And it was with my presence. Like it wasn't, I don't know how to explain it, but in that session, I created for them a spaciousness that allowed their prayer to be answered in the moment. The son from Germany rang while we were in our 2-hour class after all of those years from midnight in Germany. And she answered the phone because it was at her house, and she went and answered it. And when she came back, she goes, "You're not going to believe this." So that's what she shared. And the other lady that was sitting next to her had the same experience with me. So I created that for them with no intention. I just am a clear channel, and whoever's in my presence receives. That's the power of receiving and presence.
That's beautiful. What a share. Thank you so much, Carly. Yeah, that was amazing. I've heard of other situations where people have been in a state of, especially forgiveness towards somebody, even when the person's not in front of them, and then next thing the phone's rang and it's that person and they haven't spoken to them for years or whatever it would be. It's really, really powerful. But like you said, with you choosing to create that space and giving in your energy, they've received far more than just showing up for that 2 hours. It's beyond, it's priceless. It's priceless. And that emotion and that feeling would just have been, once again, it's priceless. Tony?
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on something there because, Veronika was joking with me before about I'm actually having a go about meditating. I was trying to meditate this morning and I couldn't seem to get my head clear. And my family kept popping into my brain. Anyway, I sort of persevered and kind of got through that. But then I came downstairs and I was sitting having a cup of tea, and my brother rang me from Jersey out of the blue, which, is just, I haven't spoken to him for 6 months or something. So there you go. It just, sometimes that law of attraction just kicks in. And, he was just over the moon to get through, because he was like, I'm 60, so we'll be 60 in February. So he's 80. And he was just over the moon that he'd got this technology to work and he'd been able to call me on through Facebook. So, you put it out there and it comes back, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. There's been a couple of things that have been brought up, and we are all in the 90-day success challenge together. So we're all participating. Lisa's, I think, about 73 days into it. So Lisa is, you know, we can't even see Lisa. She's so far in the distance with running away with this. But I know that when Lisa and Antia and Cheryl got together and they started, and Lisa's been working diligently on creating a 30-day success challenge. So really bringing it down, so people don't experience what we would class as overwhelm. Now, one of the things that I believe is important for us all to be aware of is going back to the foundation of what I said when I put it out there. Who I'm going to be doing it? Who wants to join in with me? And Corey and I had said about it a few weeks back that we were going to do it, and then all of a sudden the date came round, and I'm like, hang on, we start the challenge tomorrow, or the day after, and that's when I posted it into the group. Is that approximately it's 28 days to shift this a non-serving habit. It's 28 days to create a new habit, and it's approximately 28 days to maintain the habit. So what I'd encourage you to all look at is, don't stress out about ticking those boxes. Don't stress out about doing the tasks, because what I've found is more important is the ability to step back and say, is what I'm doing in my day when I'm not doing those tasks, is it still aligned with my vision and my mission and serving me in doing it? Like yesterday, the masterminds went well over all the calls, and I had the 2 masterminds in the morning. I then had a training call that I do in a group, and then I had another team training call that I facilitated, and all of them went well over the time. But during that process, I received so much from doing them. And it's all part of my mission and my vision. So when I actually got off the computer last night, I think it was like 8:30, I went into the bedroom. My bum was aching because I've been sat in the chair for so long. And I lay down on the bed and I looked at my my flight log. And there were so many boxes that weren't ticked, and I just went, there's only one thing I'm doing before bed, and that's the positive prime for 3 minutes, because I can sit there and do nothing but watch pictures for 3 minutes. And I just ticked it, and then I took a picture of it, and I think I posted it. But in that, the old me would have beaten myself up, and I'd have felt guilty, and I'd have not wanted to post it because people think of me as a leader, and I'm not showing up as a leader because I'm not doing it. But you know what? I actually did show up as a leader to me because I took ownership for it. And what I chose to do was more important to me than making sure I did the visualization or the gratitude or whatever it would be. And I think that also and I love Mark's changed it. And now there's not the minutes and so on there. You write your own minutes in. So this morning, thanks to Diane, that was an incredible share. I was in tears listening to that visualization from Lisa Nichols. It literally blew me away listening to that this morning. And it was 10 minutes, but yet on the flight log, it says 15 for visualization. I'm like, screw that. I got far more in that 10 minutes than sitting there for another 5 visualizing on further. I got exactly what I needed. And that I also believe is the power of us coming together, that Diane took the time to find that and say, hey, I know I'm finding this of value, and I'm going to share this into the group so everybody else can receive this value that I'm receiving. So thank you, Diane. Lisa.
Yeah, I just want to say with the 90-day challenge, yes, there's going to be 3 30-day challenges, which will build on each one, so it'll be far less overwhelming. And the reason I initially asked if we could change that was because that first bit is too overwhelming. That business side for most of us is like, what the hell? And it's too much. And I know speaking to Cheryl, the first time she started, she didn't stick with it because of the overwhelm. So we're looking at making something, that is easier to transition into. Now, the important thing for me is that this 90 days is about, as Martin said, about building habits. So if you just spend 1 minute a day on each one of those, or as many as you can, you are building the habits. It's not the length of time that you spend on each. So ignore all that. It's the getting into the habit of doing this every day and doing this every day and doing this every day. So that becomes your routine, because that is where success comes from. Yeah, you can contact 5 people every day. You can do all that. And then all of a sudden you've got more people than you know how to handle, and you go into overwhelm and everything falls apart. So don't worry if you're not lording or connecting with or whatever. Just do something, a little bit of something. And there's some days that I might do a lot of something and then not much of something else. But they're all habits that are getting me towards having success habits established into my life. So please don't get caught up in that. And as you said, Martin, even if you haven't put it out, it doesn't matter, put it in. We haven't shared them in the main group because we created our own little group and the 3 of us put our stuff in there. Perhaps we should have put in the main group because they haven't posted for the last couple of days, so I need to slap them. But it's about, and I know that even if they're not posting it, I know that they're doing it. Because if they're not, they'll come in like Cheryl when the kids were on holiday. Something's got to give. So she kept up with the personal development side of it, but didn't do the business side of it. That's life. You know, we've got to be adaptable enough to move around that. But she's still working on her business. And I see that from her posts. So, you know, it's very easy to get caught up in the overwhelm and that, oh my God, I've got to do all this. Let go of all that. You're already doing some of the basics. You're already maybe exercising a little bit, even if you're just walking, you know, around in your job during the day. Even if you're, you know, one of the things for me, eating on my abundance game, I have the highest productivity on my health because I exercise and I spend time preparing healthy meals. That is productivity. I'd never thought of that as productivity. But it's productivity because it helps me achieve my goal of being healthy. Yeah, I can't tell you what a shift that made when I went, oh my gosh. Yeah, I walked to meet my daughter from work and walk back. And I'm preparing healthy meals. Bang, all of a sudden, I've usually got 2 hours of productivity to my health. So even if I haven't got anything else in there, I can go to bed knowing I've been productive. Yeah. So make it work for you. It's just a tool. Don't let it get the better. Don't let it get the better of you. Yeah. Yeah. And just look at where you're already doing some of this stuff. If you're on social media, you're already commenting. You're already posting. Yeah. Don't make it any harder than it is. It's a tool to help you. Don't let it be your master.
I just want to comment. In all that you shared, Lisa, is that which part of that would you call receiving?
Sorry, I'm not quite sure I understand the question, Polly.
With the law of receiving, which part of everything you just shared that you're doing, which part of that is receiving?
The receiving for me is the results that I'm getting from doing what I'm doing. So every day my body is getting a little bit healthier. Yeah, because I'm being consistent about what I'm doing. Every day I'm building connections and relationships because I'm commenting or posting, and sometimes it's just what I'm doing anyway. I'm not doing extra. So the receiving is being able to receive what the goal is, which is those connections to build my business. So each one I'm receiving something, and sometimes it's micro things. Like I don't notice my health changing. Yeah. But I do, because I'm feeling my obliques. I've got a new exercise program, so I'm feeling my obliques. But generally, you know, with the eating and stuff, I'm eating what I normally eat. But I'm acknowledging that I'm taking the time to make that a priority. Whereas before I just did it without even realizing that, well, actually, that's part of helping me achieve my goal.
So would you say it's receiving yourself? Receiving your chi energy, receiving your your personal self.
Yeah, receiving myself as universal energy.
And so you're receiving expansion in that, in everything you're doing, you're receiving.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then the ripple effect of that is other people are receiving through the ripple effect of your change. Universally,
absolutely.
Humanity's receiving just by you.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's an old saying that energy flows where attention goes. So what Lisa just said absolutely nailed the fact that we might have been doing this stuff already. Most of us were doing a lot of this stuff, but noticing that we're doing it puts it at the forefront of our mind, and therefore we'll get more energy. We'll be giving out more energy, and we'll be getting more energy back because we're focused on those things and making sure that we do it, or making sure that we notice that we're already doing it.
Yeah, absolutely, Tony. And that was one of the things I spoke about on the call before, around the being conscious of, all of us throughout of our lives have been unconsciously actioning the universal laws in whatever way it was. But the whole process and the whole idea of this is that we are becoming aware of them, and then we are able to consciously put them into place into our lives. And all of the people who are successful, whether we want to say it's based on society's view, but all of the people who are living their life in abundance in all areas of their lives and doing incredible things around the world and empowering people and giving back are living by the universal laws when you get to the core of it, and they're fully aware of it. They've embodied it and they're implementing it. And a lot of it comes down to just letting go of this stuff we've got going on. Is that you, Veronika?
I'm just remembering a story that I heard Wayne Dyer tell about some research they did in a hotel in the US, where they told the cleaners, they separated them into two groups. One group of cleaners was told nothing. It's just like, do your job, that's fine. And the other group were told, this is exercise and this is what you're going to be getting better at. And the ones who were told, the latter group, the ones who were told this is exercise, lost weight. The other group who were doing the same thing, nothing happened. The power of focus.
Yeah, that's powerful. Great share there, Veronika. So we can all look at that in regards to the actions we're taking. And with what you were saying earlier, Lisa, do you feel now, or in fact, do you know that you said you were already doing these actions, but do you feel now the actions you're taking, you're actually receiving far more value than you were before?
Yeah, and something that after I finished talking with Callie, just sort of hit me is that when I'm doing those actions, I'm giving that forward in whatever action it is. It's part of that giving to be able to receive. So if we come back to the law of compensation, if you want to get something, if you want to win the lotto, you have to buy a lotto ticket. Yeah. So I feel like I am giving on each one of those things. I'm giving out, not giving to, I'm giving out all those things as I tick them off, which is leaving me feeling more open to receiving. So if I see the 90-day challenge as very much the law of receiving in full action. It's about giving of me to something greater than me so that I can receive.
Yeah, Dan, go for it.
I just had an experience tonight, actually, why I missed my last call. We're selling, obviously, a lot of the equipment we had for my dad that we no longer need, and one of them was a trike. And I put it on last night and, thinking that someone will want it for Christmas and stuff. And the only time that this guy could come was tonight, right when I had to you know, I had to make a decision. Do I do the mastermind, the earlier mastermind, or do this? And this was money that's going to go to Mum, that allows her to buy Christmas presents. And, you know, I've always hated putting anything online because you tend to find that people want to, you know, knock you down with price and everything else. But I priced everything, well, I believed at a price where they shouldn't need to do that. The guy that rocked up had to drive an hour and a half to get to me. And he was buying this trike for an older lady who he'd just bought a house off. And she was moving back into the city and wanted a bike for getting to and from her house to the shops, so that she didn't have to buy a car and stuff like that. So, you know, she'd asked him to look out for it. So instead of him going to be charging her for the bike, he's bought it for her to have. And then we obviously had some extra bits and pieces, some nappies and stuff that he'd bought for his dad. So out of that whole transaction, he's walked away with nothing that will be for him, but he was so happy and such a jovial person that, and I mean, we took hours of him telling me different stories about his family and everything else. But I even though I needed to rush back for this, I didn't let him know that. I just let him go because, you know, just hearing him so full of life just made me feel so good. And to know that our equipment, that my dad, that was so valuable for my dad, that, you know, we got to see him achieve so much with, go to someone that is going to give it away, is just beautiful. Sorry.
No, there's no need to be sorry. That was absolutely beautiful, Diane. Thank you so much for sharing that and choosing to put him before the call as well. Because look at what you received in doing that, and what you were able to share with us. It was absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have come to, well, we've gone over the hour mark, which is a common occurrence with all of you lot who won't keep quiet. But no, I'm only joking. So Tony is Tony's going to go into hospital, I believe, tomorrow. So I'm sharing. I'm just being an open book about Tony here. So we'll all just send Tony some love for what he's going in. He's actually got to go in and just have a lot of work done, as you can see from what we have to put up with when he's on the camera. So I'll be covering his mastermind in the morning at 7:30 a.m. Perth time for anybody who's available and wishes to join on. And then is it Tuesday evening at 5:30, Tony? 5:30 p.m. So yep. I'll also be doing that one. So obviously I'm not as funny as Tony. I'm far better looking, but I'm not as funny as Tony. Cut him off. And I'll come on with my Liverpool shirt just so I bring some real good energy to the, so the recording, he can upload it on his own YouTube channel. Would you like to say anything there, Tony?
Yeah, I'll just ignore everything you just said, because that's just Martin going on again, you know, like he does. I wanted to come back to a question that I think might benefit everybody else, if you could spare a moment to answer it. And obviously I don't want to keep anyone behind. So if anyone's got to go, please go. It was just regarding your process. You said about the fact that I know you get people to register for your masterminds through your website. So this is what I was thinking about. You said you asked them 5 questions before you put them onto the mastermind group, yeah?
No.
How are you going about getting them in the first place then? Because I was putting the Zoom link for people to go from my mastermind, from my Facebook page that I've set up for the mastermind group, to be able to go straight to the meeting. But then that means I don't have control over who's coming there unless they're already have gone onto the Facebook page. So I'm inviting people onto the Facebook page that I know at the moment. But if I was to put people on there that I didn't know, then I wouldn't have that sort of vetting process going on. So I just wondered how you tackle the whole issue of getting people from being unqualified prospects to being qualified before they go onto a mastermind call.
Okay, so that I've not explained that properly. So what I actually do is when anybody like for instance with Tina who came through, and Tina and I didn't know each other, I had gone and checked Tina out, and therefore I had made a decision that Tina was going to add value to the group. So when I connected with Tina, the first thing I did was gave her the link to join Noble Goldman as a free member. Now, she hadn't even come on the mastermind with us yet. Now, when Tina joins as a free member, I then sent her an email giving her the opportunity to have a half-an-hour free call with me. When she books that call, there's 5 questions that I say need to be answered before you get on the call. And an hour before that call, I also send a reminder email that says, hey, Tina, friendly reminder, an hour from now we've got our call. Please make sure you've got these 5 questions answered. And that way, that when she gets on, because originally it was 15 minutes and there was no way that was going to happen. So I changed it to half an hour. And I said, when we get on the call, get straight into it. We can say hello, but get straight into it because I want to know how I can best serve you. I want to know where you're at and how I can make that happen. And that's now my qualifying process, which I've only put into place the last couple of weeks.
So they're not going on to your mastermind until after you've been through those 3 stages?
Well, no, they can actually, when they get the welcome email, it encourages them to join the Facebook group, and they can jump on the mastermind at any point. So another way of qualifying people is this mastermind. Well, not this one because it's the gold star, but the other one. I have people who book in, they come on, and within 10 minutes they're off. They're like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great, that's cool. If you come on a call like this, and some people come on and they're like, wow, I felt heard, I felt empowered. The conversation, it was so real and authentic. And some people are like, this is way too deep for me. Diane?
Can I just say that for me, if Martin had just tried to talk me through it, I probably wouldn't have joined up because I was already part of 2 other groups doing, not masterminding, but, you know, in the fields where I wanted to head, which was building websites and building, you know, social media presence. And then Martin and I had talked about it, and he just invited me on to have a look at this mastermind. Had I not have been part of the mastermind, I probably wouldn't have gone any further with it. It was for me, how empowering, as Martin just said, and that feeling heard, but hearing other people's stories, that and I'm a pretty private person, so I don't do a lot of group stuff, but I felt safe, and I could feel that by doing this. But if Martin had said, oh, I'm going to put you on with, you know, this call and we're going to have all these people, I probably would have freaked out and gone, no, I'm not doing it. So I needed to experience it first, and then I was pretty much, yep, like, sign me up. So
yeah, I think what's it, and thanks for sharing that, Diane. I think what's important is that I've done a lot of testing since the first mastermind that I've facilitated, and I've tried different things, and I'm now in a place where I'm really, really enjoying every single moment of what I'm doing. Now, there's some people who only facilitate one mastermind, and I've had people say, you're giving all this time, like, and you're not even charging, you're not earning money. And I'm saying, it's like, that's the way that you would see it, but I don't see it that way. What I receive from creating this space is far greater than money can actually give me. But I've noticed in other areas of my life, the finances have soared. So, and the intention was to create a free public mastermind to bring people together and let them see the value. And that's what has been created. And the intention was always to create a safe space where people can feel heard and build relationships and feel like they're truly part of a community, instead of coming on a call where I just talk about a topic for an hour and you go off and go, oh, that was okay, I got a few notes from that. We get far more by interacting and asking those questions and sharing with each other and go, wow, even when on the previous call, Lisa challenged me on something. And Lisa actually apologized for challenging me. And I was like, please don't apologize. That's literally what this is about. If I choose to be defensive and rude, I've got some stuff to work on there. And I was so grateful that she did, because it helped me just go a little bit deeper. And I think sometimes we say things without giving a deeper meaning to it or truly explaining it the way that we intended, especially when I said about the 5 questions. But I also use the public mastermind as a qualifying process. You know, Diane went from, she came in, she enjoyed it, we had a conversation, she got on, we had a call, and then Diane upgraded to Gold Star.
Yeah.
So
the important thing is still to have that call and that one-on-one conversation with people, to either to assess what they're looking for, or what, if they have jumped on already, then to find out what they got out of it and how, whether they could see it working for them or not. Yeah, I suppose we have to a certain degree, just trust in the universe that whatever way people find their way through, they will find their way through if they're meant to. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, through trusting and showing up the way I've got, when I go to Finland, I've got somewhere to stay. Happy days. But I think a lot of it is coming down to that. You know, Russ spoke about it yesterday with the 4 questions, and they're really powerful. And for those of you who didn't get them yesterday, I'll actually just share them again. I've got them on a document that won't take me too long to just bring up. So those 4 questions were actually, which are really, really powerful. Hang on a minute. Where are those 4 questions? Those 4 questions are...
You put it in the Gold Star message.
Here we go. What am I building? So you might want to write these down. What am I building? Which is, think about what you want to create. What do you want to build? Who does it include? So you're now going to think about the people you want to be surrounded by. Who are those people? Right, think about who those people are going to be. The next question is, what does it provide? So now think about the contribution to the world, not just the people on there, but externally. And then the final question, what does the person want in being a part of it? So what am I building? Who does it include? What does it provide? What does the person want in being a part of it? Because every single person, when we speak to them, is coming from a place of, what's in it for me? Why do I want to come on the mastermind? Why do I want to give up my time to be on there? Why is it of value to me? And when we're clear on that, when we're communicating with people and the intention behind the whole energy behind it, you become attractive, and your message and your clarity and your energy is attractive to people, and they're like, you've got me here. Let me see what it is. Now, it might not be for them when they come on the mastermind. It might not be the right time, but you know what? There'll be a time at some point in their life, I believe, and especially when I look at Noble Goldman, I say this all the time, Noble Goldman is for anybody who values personal growth, who values connection, relationships, education, and is also looking to create a financial fortress around themselves and their family that nothing can break through, as Jim Rohn said. Like, it provides all of that. And that's why the money's the last thing, because this is the most important part of it.
Can I just add, the other thing that Russ mentioned quite a few times just for the newbies was that to find out what it is that people are either concerned about or committed to. So those are great questions to ask people as well. What are your concerns at the moment, and what things are you committed to? Because that tells you a lot about either what's causing them pain or what they're aspiring to in terms of pleasure. So one way or the other, whatever they're moving away from or moving towards, and then you can work with that.
I think rather than asking those questions, because they can be a little bit confrontational, or people often don't know, if you ask sort of the right questions about them, you'll soon find out what those concerns and commitments are. You don't need to ask them outright, but you'll soon get to know what it is that's important to them and why they're concerned.
Yeah.
Good point.
And it wouldn't be like, what's your concerns about Noble Goldman? It's actually concerns in their life, things that are going on in their life that they're feeling they're not achieving, and what they desire, and what then, you know, how they can show up in commitment. And really, you know, that's why I always say to people, anybody who wants to be working with me and close to me, and I've not even gone to my own team who I'm connected to right yet. I've not even gone to my warm market properly about this. There's only a few key people that I knew would help create a foundation for the mastermind, such as Tony and Lisa, like people who I was already connected to that I've got relationships with, and I knew they would help create a very powerful, strong foundation. They were already my 2 knights around my table. So when you look at that, you're then starting to expand outside of it and go, okay, well, if I've not even gone to those people yet, just imagine what kind of energy is going to be coming in when that time's ready. And that's why, for me, the big thing is about support. And those of you, you're all in my Noble Goldman team. And my focus is to provide you with the best level of support that I physically can, and your feedback helps me improve it, because I can't always be there when you're choosing to show up and start working on the abundance game. But every single person that wants to be around me and asks me, what are you doing? I say to them, access the abundance game, implement it, get clear on that life purpose, that vision, put it in there. Because when you do, everything will change. And I can only tell you that because that's what's happened for me. If you're not accessing that, you're actually, well, I was just going to say something I shouldn't have said, but if you're not accessing, and I won't tell you what it is now, but if you're not accessing that, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. You're doing yourself a disservice by not activating that tool, which is basically teaching us how to win at the game of life. It's the foundation. And as we said on a call yesterday, I think it was, your time is already allocated. So look at how you're utilizing that time. And I'm telling you right now, based on my own experience, the abundance game is a key part of my time allocation now. And I'm receiving incredible results from doing so. And the 90-day success challenge is actually helping us tap into that abundance game. That's really what it's doing. So take the time, because if you don't take the time to do it, that is where I question the self-worth, because it's all about the self that you're going to gain from doing so. And we're often putting other things externally that aren't actually serving us to do that stuff. And it's really procrastination in a way, but step into it and empower yourself, because we're all worthy. We're all truly worthy of it. I'm going to wrap this call up now because we've definitely hit the 90-minute mark. Thanks for everybody who stayed on as well. It's been fun. It's been a fantastic call, and I will, as always, this call will be uploaded only into the Messenger chat group, so it doesn't go on YouTube as in for anyone to access, just in the Messenger chat group to watch the replay, and anybody else who can't be with us. So thank each and every one of you for your time. Next week, we've got another universal law, so look out for that post in the group, okay? And you'll be able to access that. So thank you, everybody. And
welcome, Tina. Welcome to our community.
Yeah.
And Diane, because I didn't let you talk tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
You.
Remember, share your
Bye.
3 big takeaways as well. Share your 3 big takeaways. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Martin.
Bye.